This girl with her flower dress that we can paint. And so we'll start with her hair, and you can make it whatever color you would like. So in some of my other videos, I chose to do like a light brown. And I think that in this one, I'm going to do it a little bit more of a dark brown. So I'll have a couple different shades here. I've got this black. Put a little bit. You want to really wipe your brush off in between so you don't get that paint all over. And we're going to use our paper towel to clear our brush. So I'm going to come in here and start painting some of these lines. I'm going to leave the white of the paper because I am going to make it darker. So whether you're doing this because you're a kid at heart, or if you are a young girl and you want to make her hair similar to yours, you can mix in your palette whatever color looks closest to you, or you can make her be whoever you'd like her to be. It doesn't have to be you. And we're just going to come in here and add a little bit of brown. We've got that black, and then I'm going to let that dry. So over here, I kind of went out of the lines. I can clear my brush really good because this is darker, and I'm just going to kind of loosen that with water in my brush and then really carefully stamp that out, and I'll let that dry real good. So now I'm going to do her bun. Her hair's all pulled up. I almost want to wonder if she was going to go to a wedding. Maybe she's a flower girl or a junior bridesmaid, or she's going to a garden party maybe. So you can design her dress however you want. I'm going to use purple flowers and a light lavender color top of her dress. So I'm going to put a lot of water in this purple, and I've given you a strip of paper either in your take and paint or in the back of your book. There's a plain piece of paper that you can test your colors. So I'm going to make this a very, very light purple here. And then for the flowers, I'm going to do them a darker purple. So at first I'm going to make a color up for my leaves, and I like to use in this Tropicals kit some of this palm and a little tiki, which is just green and brown, so that it's more of this color instead of that color. So you can choose whatever color green you want. And now I'm just kind of touching the end of my brush into these circles, really tiny hairs of the end of my brush. If you have a bigger brush, it might make a mess, and if you do, you can always go over the whole thing and paint this all green in the background, and then before you do all of that, put your flowers in first and then just paint the whole thing green, because if your brush is too wide or too big to get into these little spaces, you may want to get one of these. I sell them at my shop, so that all the little drawings that I have a lot of little tiny things. So you probably want a tiny brush, but in that case you can still do something fun, but you wouldn't do each one of these little leaves. You would just paint over it. So I'm going to keep doing that, and you don't have to watch every single one. I'll just make it go fast so you can see me fill them all in. Okay, now I've filled in all of the green leaves, and now I'm going to paint the purple flowers. Actually, I'll go up here and do her hair first. So I'm going to put some little fine lines in here and add another layer of detail to her hair. Make it even a little bit darker along those lines. Probably works better if I didn't put something wet down first, because the lines are kind of disappearing. So now I'll just take a little bit of my paper towel that's there. Now I've got some darker color down at the bottom, lightened it up in the middle, and do the same thing kind of over here. There we go. And then we can pick her complexion. So that's up to you on if she has a lighter complexion or a darker complexion. So we could do a little bit of brown, a little bit of this coconut with a lot of water, and it would look like that. You could add a little bit of this into it, make it look more like this. So I think I like that color for her. So I'm going to come in here with a lot of water, so we don't have a lot of brush strokes in here. And her neck would be that same color, and her arms, just like so. And we'll let that dry, and we'll come back in a minute. And now we'll do these little flowers. So I'm going to get some darker purple, darker than the lavender, and maybe I'll do a couple different. So the water's really beating up there. I'll just make sure not to put my hand in it. It's good to work from this side to that side, so that if you're right-handed, you don't put your hand in it. If you're left-handed, you would go the exact opposite direction. And I might just make these darker in a minute and get all of them lavender, and then come back in and kind of make them a little bit darker. But I still want to be able to see that center, and that black line will go away if I make it too dark purple. Even on some of these, you can kind of go around the outside and leave wet, and we'll come back and go over them again. So you can see some are lighter, some are darker, and there's a little bit of the white of the paper on here. So you can just watch me paint these really fast, and then we'll come back and finish the other parts. Okay, so now we've finished doing all of these flowers, and you can make them a bunch of different colors. They don't have to be all the same. So we'll go over here to the top. If we want to put in a little bit of a rosy cheek, I'm going to get a tiny bit of this like sunset, maybe put it in a little of her complexion color, and see what it looks like to kind of put some sort of blush on her. So faint, so light. And maybe, don't know what color, maybe like this, some sort of eyeshadow depending on how old she is. And we'll just kind of come under here on her neck and her arm and add a little bit of a darker, just one layer of what we already did, just to kind of, and I would only do it on this one side. There's kind of a shadow, just like that. And then you can draw whatever you want in the background. If you want to do a sky behind there with clouds, or you want to make a little house behind here. So you can decide what you would like to do, and then you can watch the bonus video to show you a few extra options. So, okay, in this bonus video, I'll show you, if you had a bigger brush, what that would kind of look like if you're not able to get into these little leaves. If you had a bigger brush, you can kind of go over her dress, and maybe even if you don't, might want to do this. So I have this green here mixed up, and I'll do a little bit more, and maybe want it to be brighter since it's going to be everywhere. And just come in here, and you could do some little kind of stripe pattern along these lines that I have, and start there first. Now I know I painted in each of these little leaves, and so they're a little bit darker than if you just did this all over the whole thing. But once you go over this and you let it dry, if you weren't able to paint all of the leaves, then you can kind of, after it's already dry, sort of dab your brush, and then it'll just kind of make that area darker where the leaves are. You can try your best. But that way, if you can't get them in the lines and you kind of messed it up and you're not sure how to fix it, you can just come over this with some green, go around your flowers, or do that at first before you start your flowers. And now she's got this kind of really fun dress, which I actually like how that looks. And we can put in some purple dots in here, do green if you want, so that's up to you. But that's how you would do it if you had a bigger brush, or you messed up doing the leaves and you got it everywhere. That's how you would go back and do it.